Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Dustin, and we are here with, third time guest, fourth time guest,
Somewhere in
20th
that
guest.
range.
We got Brett
One
Parker
day.
from Dissect That Film. Brett, how you doing, man?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so happy to be back. This is
Yeah,
always a great time.
I love having you on here. I love your show. You're local, which is awesome. Us, mass holes over here. We always like to unite when we can.
Yep. Yep.
And you're coming on here to do something a little bit different. And it's something that I've reached out to a lot of people over on the internet, and we've actually had quite a few guests. And you wanted to come on and do a ScreamBox Essential pick. And this is episode 7.
Wow.
Crazy.
Look at you.
I think I started this maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, and we're already 7 episodes into.
There's so much variety on ScreamBox. You're gonna have hundreds of episodes.
Oh yeah, for sure. But before we jump into everything, Brett, why don't you go let everybody know where they can find you and what you are doing?
So I am the host of Dissect That Film, where me and my wonderful co-host Dan and Angela, we break down plots of the good, the bad, and the ugly of cinema. We go through film franchises. We talk about, we do topic episodes once in a while. And yeah, we just like to sit down and have like a normal conversation about movies. Nothing too super in depth. It's pretty much like you sitting down with your friends and just kind of talking about a movie, over a beer or, just wherever. And yeah, it's something we've been doing for a couple of years now, and we just hit our 100th episode coming this week, which is
Hell yeah,
insane
dude.
to think
Hell yeah.
about. And
Congrats.
yeah, so you can actually find us at Dissect That Film wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube. We do video versions of the podcast, and we're Dissect That Film on all the social medias, so you can find us there.
Oh yeah, and yes, I highly recommend everybody go and watch or listen because your show is great, and I'll have everything linked down below as usual. Brett, you've been on here to talk about Child's Play, which actually I got a little Chucky right here.
I'm so jealous. I'm
Um,
so jealous.
I'm sorry. Actually, I got another Chucky right here too. And what was the other one I had you come on for? It was another movie where it was a Screenbox, right? It was a screener.
Yeah, we did we did another Screenbox movie. I can't think of it at the top of my head right now.
Oh my god!
We did
What?
like an early release, like a preview of one of the ones that had Jean-Claude Van Damme's daughter in it.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh.
We're so good, guys. This is where
Uh.
Dustin's gonna cut this
In
part.
dream. In dreams. In
In dreams,
dreams.
there it is. Yep.
There it is. All
I
right.
remember. I remember we had talked about this on that episode where I had looked it up on a letterbox because after I watched that preview, I wanted to just log that I had watched it,
Yeah.
and I couldn't find it because it was in a different language, and I was like, well, I
Yeah.
guess I gotta do that.
Yeah. I had to picture the cover. I'm like, I had the cover in my head. What the hell's the
I
name
I
of
do too. It was just her face.
it? So yeah, we got Child's Play, we got In Dreams, and now we're doing something a little bit different, which is us highlighting movies that we think to ourselves and to future Screenbox subscribers, current or ones that are thinking about going over to the service, pick movies that are essential to us, essentially, in any kind of way. I say it every episode just because I always want to, make sure if there's anybody who's tuning in for the first time, so this is their first episode, it's not essential in the way that it's like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Child's Play. It's more movies that may not have a lot of attention, ones that we have watched and be like, this is really good, and now it's on the service, so I want to highlight it, or it's just a movie we think everybody should go and watch. So why don't you let everybody know the movie that you picked?
Oh boy. Well, this is a movie that according to IMDb has a 3.4, and it when it came out had a lot of negative uh it just wasn't good according to critics, but it was a movie that I watched a lot as a kid because this
Mhm.
movie came out when I was about 11. So I just remember, and I owned the DVD
Oh
of
yeah,
this
man.
movie, and I said, you know what, it's on Screenbox, and listen, you can send me all the hate messages you want after I recommend to watch this movie, but I chose 2002's Fear.com, starring Steven Dorff, from Blade. And yeah, this movie is something.
I really like this movie. Like, you can come after me too. about it, but I there's something about like detective driven movies in the early
Mhm.
2000s that are like this, that it's so good. It's so cheesy and so good.
Absolutely. And the
No,
thing is about this movie is that you got early indications of like what I feel like. I don't know if this is true, but like when they were making Saw, I feel like they watched this movie and maybe got certain elements from it.
I feel the same way, man. I feel the
And
same way.
of course, this came out the same year as The Ring, and you kind of get a Ring feeling out of it too. Like I feel like they took inspiration from the original Japanese Ring for this as well. And it's pretty crazy that they both came out the same exact year,
Yeah.
but this one did not get the acclaim that The Ring did.
Yeah, and also it stars Jeffrey Combs. Come on.
It took me so long to. I was like, as soon as I saw him in a few scenes, I was like, is that
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Combs? And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, you get like a good shot of him. I'm like, why are they using him like this? I felt
Yeah.
like he could have been the villain of this movie.
Yeah.
And as much as I think Stephen Ray, who plays the villain in this, is really creepy and does a very good job, in my opinion. I mean, Jeffrey Combs is a horror legend. I mean,
Yeah.
I almost picked Reanimator for this show, but I as soon as I saw Fear.com, I was like, no one ever talks about this movie, and probably for a good reason. But I had to shout it out because Reanimator, it's I think talked about a lot in the horror community, and
Yeah.
it's a cult classic. And I've talked about it on my show, but like Fear.com, I was actually planning on covering this on my show at some point, but
Oh yeah,
I
man.
figured I'd had to, since it was on Screenbox. I had to give this some sort of love, even if people are like, ugh, no.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. I think when it was being released, Brandon Hill, the one of the acquisitioners for Cinedigm for Screenbox, was like, "This is he loves Fear.com." Like he was even saying, "I want everybody to go and watch this because I love this film." So like there is people out there that
Good.
enjoy this film,
Good.
and it's on Screenbox. So I mean,
Absolutely.
you gotta watch it. You know,
Screenbox is just doing, I mean, you talk about it every single time. You're literally so involved with Screenbox, but like I just want to state, like, they're doing such great things over there, putting out such, like, I was just like, it's sometimes it's overwhelming
mhm.
trying to find what you want to watch, because you're like, oh, I could watch this. And then you just keep scrolling, you're like, oh my God. It's like every movie or every other movie, you're just like, oh my God. So most of the time when I'm going into Screenbox to watch a movie, it's someone I'm like scrolling through Twitter and somebody's like, hey, I'm watching this right now and it's on Screenbox. I'm like, well, that's what I'm watching tonight, because that it gives me you're telling me to go watch it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch it right now instead of me going, oh no, what do I watch tonight? Because there's so many options.
Yeah, that's really funny too. I just had Dustin on from Flicks and Friends, and he was saying that, yeah, when we reached out and wanted to do this, I was scrolling through for like
Yeah,
3 hours trying to find a
he actually
movie.
he actually messaged me. He was like, hey, I'm gonna be hanging out with Dustin. We're talking about Screenbox Essentials, and I don't know what to do. Like, I'm scrolling through. I'm having such a hard time figuring it out. I'm like, I know, man. I know how
Yeah,
you feel.
and that's another reason why I'm doing this. I'm trying to help
Mhm.
everybody out. I mean, Screenbox, Alex, who runs the socials over there, I say it all the time. He's so helpful when you want to watch a
Mhm.
film on there. If you just at Screenbox, I don't know what to watch on your service. Can
Yep.
you help me out? He'll say, yeah, what are you into? And he'll list like 5 to 10 movies. Be like, go check these out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways for you to go and do that, but I do this so it's a little bit more in depth. So if people are, like, oh, what should I be watching? There's so many things out here. I don't know what to pick. So if they go over and listen to a Screenbox Essentials episode, we go a little bit more in depth. Explain why we like it,
Mhm.
why there might be things about it that aren't great, but you should still go and watch it because it's a film.
Right.
So I think right now, Brett, if you want to go on and touch a little bit more about Fear.com, you can say whatever's on Rotten
So,
Tomatoes or anything like that.
oh, do I even want to look at Rotten? I don't
No,
ever
you
look at
don't.
Rotten Tomatoes. So if you want to look at it, it's
I
cool.
have it
I
up right
never
now. And
do.
do you want me to say it?
So all I know is that it only grossed less than $20 million on a $40 million budget, so it didn't even make half of its budget, which
Yeah,
means it was a utter failure. It got an F on Cinema Score, which is those things I don't pay attention to much.
me either, man.
Um, but I did notice that the director, William Malone, he actually directed the remake of House on Haunted Hill in 1999, which
That's
is
right.
one of those movies that's kind of like split down the middle. You either have people who just hate that movie or people who love that movie. And to be honest, I'm one of those guys who I enjoyed it when I
Yeah.
haven't seen it in a long, long time, probably as long as I hadn't seen Fear.com in probably 20 years. Uh, probably a little later because, like I said, I got this DVD which came out right after the movie came out, and I used to watch it all the time. But yeah, like House on Haunted Hill, that's a fun watch,
It
and
is.
that's the thing. It's like I feel he had some sort of success with that because it was a remake and then tried to do something somewhat original, and
Yeah.
it just didn't land because there are issues with this movie. Pretty much what the whole premise of the movie is that people are they're visiting this website, which I do have a gripe on something, and I do want to share. The one thing that
Sure.
annoys me the most about this movie is that this movie's called Fear.com, and the site they go to is called fear.com.com.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they did that. It's such a weird choice, but it happened. But
Hey.
yeah, they go. People are dying because they're visiting this website that it like puts them in some sort of trance, and they have a certain amount of time to figure out the puzzle. And if they don't, they end up dying. And this detective, and then this I don't remember what her job was, but she worked with like bugs and viruses and stuff. They work together to try to figure out the mystery, but there's also a creepy serial killer who runs the website
Yep.
who is killing people for others to watch. So he's like live streaming himself killing people. And
Live
but
streaming too on like early internet is so weird.
yeah, and it's crazy because like there's one scene where he hits live. Actually, it shows it a couple times. I think it's just the same scene replayed over and over, but it shows him like hitting live and like the amount of subscribers that are just coming in immediately. I was like, no,
Yeah,
no, that doesn't happen.
back
Stop
then.
it.
Nobody knows what the fuck you're doing, guy. No one knows
Oh,
anything.
but
What live streaming? What is that?
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a movie where I don't know if I'll ever watch this movie again. It's unless I cover it on my show, but it's definitely a movie I want people to experience because I want to hear what people I want to hear your thoughts. I want
Yeah.
people to watch, especially people who are very critical on certain movies. Like I said, it was inspired by, in my opinion, I feel like it was inspired by the original Ring. This came out before Saw, and it has some Saw elements in it, like
Yeah.
the way that the killer operates. And I think the biggest issue with this movie is that there's two things going on. You have the website that's causing people to go crazy, but also you have the serial killer, and it connects in a way, but you also don't kind of get that resolution of why the website's doing what it's doing. It's just it ends weird. Maybe it's just something I
Yeah.
didn't see but it's worth a watch. I want people to experience this movie once at least. Don't look at the IMDb. Don't look at any of the reviews. Just take my word for it. It's an experience. I watched it last night again, and you know what? It does have its slow moments, and I love Steven Dorff though. I'm a huge Steven Dorff fan from Blade.
He does a. I
He
love his performance in this film. I think he's great.
Yeah, he
Detective. It's great.
he definitely has a presence on screen. Natasha McElhone, who was the like I can't remember her character's name, but she was the doctor. She was I think the cast is solid. It
Yes.
just yeah, I think things just didn't kind of connect in the way we wanted it to. And I just it's just about the experience. So give it a good watch and
Yeah.
let me know at Dissect That Film and let me know what you thought of Fear.com because I want to hear
All right.
your
Everybody's gonna
thoughts.
flood over there and they're gonna be like, "Why did you recommend this piece of
What
shit?"
is wrong with you? And I'll be like, a lot. And let me
Yeah.
explain.
It's an enjoyable film. I like it, especially if you like the early 2000s era horror movies
Mhm.
that are kind of like this. They're very gray, blue, black.
Yep.
They have like
Yep.
that tone about it. It was like the same with the video games of the era. It was very like brown and
Yep.
blue. But it's a solid film, I think, in my opinion. It's definitely one that I will revisit because I haven't seen this in a long time. I don't even remember where the hell I saw it the first time. It had to have been on TV. It had to
Yeah,
have
I think
been.
that was where I saw it for the first time. Probably, my dad, when I growing up, my dad always had HBO and Cinemax and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it had to have been on one of those channels. And I think I picked this up for like $5 at Walmart one
Dude, what a
time.
steal.
Yeah, I because I used to just buy movies just to buy them. Like even I was like, oh, that I and to be honest, the cover probably is the reason I bought this because like the cover is
It's
creepy as
great.
hell. Yeah, I mean it's an experience. That's all
Yeah.
I'll say about Fear.com.
Yeah. So that's definitely a movie everybody needs to go check out on ScreamBox, for sure. And the movie I picked is once again a complete like 180, almost 360. We got Blood and Black Lace, which is essentially the first Giallo film ever. This is like when Mario Bava was starting to really craft um, his his craft essentially, and start making films like this. Before I get into what I want to say about it, but Brett, what did you think of it?
I thought this was a fantastic movie. I love the aesthetics of it. I love the color. As someone who hasn't really explored the giallo genre
Hmm.
uh very in depth. I mean, I know the genre, I know the rules of a giallo film. I jumping into the one that's technically the first giallo, I thought it was really interesting. I love that this is the beginning because just the way that, like I said, the colors, the use of
Yep.
red and purple, the performances, even though the dubbing is weird as hell, I've never it, but I got used to it because I've heard throughout my short time kind of diving into movies that I really didn't explore a lot back, even a few years ago. Like a few years ago, before I started a podcast, I don't think I would have ever watched these type of movies. It just wasn't. I'm a basic type of person, and now
Yeah.
I feel like since then I've kind of broadened my horizons. But yeah, there's the dubbing is weird, but I got used to it after a while because I understood what they were doing.
Yep.
But the performances are fantastic. I think the fact that this is probably one of the oldest movies I've watched in a long time.
Yeah, I remember you saying that to
19
me.
yeah 1964,
Yeah,
which
1964.
is
Yep.
it's so well done, and the violence for a movie from the 60s. We got Psycho 4 years before, but I still don't think Psycho was as violent as something like
No,
this.
because
This
this shows so much more. There's
a lot,
blood.
yeah.
Goes in depth. You got the mystery element, which is what I love
Mhm.
about Giallo films is the mystery element of it. It's a great film, but I'll let you continue your thoughts because I feel like you have some way.
It, so not to bring up Scream because I know Scream has been talked about a lot
Yeah.
over the last couple months because of Scream 6 and just because that's such a franchise that could just be talked to death. This I have a strong feeling Kevin Williamson looked at movies like this and this inspired Scream because this movie felt like what Scream would be 30 years later,
Yeah.
where it's these group of coworkers slash friends. They either live together and stuff like that, and then there's somebody knocking them off for a, and not just randomly because of behind the scenes stuff, like people are stealing money and
Yeah.
people are doing shady things, and yeah, you got this killer going around and knocking them off one by one, and it's like, wow, that definitely sounds like Scream to me. Like, so even if it wasn't, I think it's easy to say that in my opinion it has to be, there has
I
to have
think
been some.
I'm pretty sure that they have confirmed that Scream was a loose giallo in modern
Yeah.
time, Americanized.
Hmm.
Because you got the cop elements in Scream, you got the mystery element in Scream,
Hmm.
you got the over the top killings in Scream, essentially, and you get a lot of that in an early film,
Yeah.
in the genre. It's a great film, like you said, colors are great, and that's another reason why I love giallo. Um, this movie is highly, debated whether you want to classify it as giallo or not. But one of my favorite Italian films around this era is Suspiria. I
Hmm.
love that movie so much. The colors are great. The sort of a mystery element to it is there. And Dario Argento, he really honed in on giallo. But this is way before that. This is Mario Bava. He was laying the groundwork, And this film has everything in it. So if you love Giallo and you haven't seen this movie, what are you doing? What are you doing? And if you want an introduction to Giallo, this is perfect. ScreamBox has it right there. Um, I actually, it's really highly rated, and as it should. It's a 7.1 on IMDb, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, that's the wrong one. Rotten Tomatoes, we have an 80% on a tomato meter, not certified fresh, which is weird. And the audience score is 75%. And I think this movie is definitely warranted on all those scores just because of how well it is. The pacing in this film is also really good. The way the killer looks, like his getup,
Mm-hmm.
is awesome.
Well, yeah, it's that classic Giallo killer. It's the trench coat, the hat, the white mask, so you can't really see who it is, of course, and then gloves.
Yep. And simple killings too, and with the blades that they use, or just
Mm,
gonna drown you, or anything they
yep.
possibly can. Movie doesn't really hold back any punches, especially for the time. This had to have been a movie back then that areas like, I'm not gonna watch this. It's way too over the top for me. Because you didn't really get a lot of films like this, especially in color. Um,
Yeah.
and then it kind of spawned, more Italian giallos, and then us Americans were eating it up. So they
Yep.
were making more, and yeah, Mario Bava has a really, really good filmography. So if you want more giallo, watch Mario Bava. He nails it. There's really nothing bad I can really say about this film because of how flawless I think it is for it starting a genre essentially, um, and then having it birth so many others. And I gotta look on Screenbox. I think they have more giallo films on there. They might even have a tab for
Yeah.
it.
There's definitely, I just, when I was trying to find this one, I saw at least 3 or 4 before I
Yeah,
even got to this one. So
yeah. So if you guys like this and you're like, I need more, there you go. Just search it on Screenbox, or even just tag them on socials and ask them where you can find it on their site, or even I'll in the description I'll link some more if I can find them on the site for everybody, because it's a definitely a genre that has been blowing up. I want to say over the last like 4 or 5 years, it's been really, really popular. It's kind of has a resurgence in my opinion, and Dario Argento actually has put out a new one, which is Dark Glasses. That's
yeah.
pretty damn good. That I think is on Shutter. Pretty sure
Yeah.
it's on Shutter.
Yeah.
And you can buy it physical too. So that's another one to check out if you guys are subscribed to Shutter. But Screenbox is doing really, really well. This month they're putting out what, like 30 titles, something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
overwhelmingly large amount of titles that I can't even remotely keep track of.
Yeah, it's a lot, and there's exclusives that are coming out that we do have coverage on. It's going to be really, really fun to put out for everybody. Um, and I love doing these episodes. I really do. Doing them nice and short and quick, letting everybody know, what they should be watching, or at least giving you some sort of recommendation, and base your other movies off of these recommendations.
Yep.
Brett, it's always great having you on here, man. It really is. I love talking to you. Your show is great. I love the movie that you picked, and I'm happy you love the movie that I picked.
Yes, it was I have been having a blast watching movies that yeah, like I said a few years ago, I probably wouldn't have watched. It just wasn't on my radar. And to experience these things for the first time, it's going to make me appreciate going back and revisiting certain movies that I may have not been a huge fan of. One of them being Malignant, because as you
Oh,
stated
Malignant's
before,
my.
yeah, I know you're a huge fan of that movie,
Oh,
and I've only seen it once back when it came out, and I wasn't a huge fan of it because it just was so wacky to me. Like it just did. But I remember listening to your review on, I remember, or an episode you had done on it, and you were talking about how it is a modern giallo, and I'm like, okay, now that makes total sense
yep.
why it would be that way. And so now I can go back and rewatch it and maybe have an appreciation for it. So, maybe that'll be the next episode. Dustin will join us on over at
Oh, I
Dissect
would
That Film,
love to
talk
revisit
about
Malignant.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That movie is so fun. It's
But I
so
appreciate all
fun.
the kind words you have for the show. Yeah, we've been having a blast, and getting to have awesome people like you on the show, and getting to be on here. This is it's always I can never say no unless I have to because of other reasons.
Yeah.
But like it's always a blast to come on here and talk about not just Screambox, but whatever you want me to come on the show to talk about.
Yeah. I'll make sure I pick a really shitty movie next time so that way you don't want to
Oh,
come back.
shittier than fear.com. No.
I can find it. I can find it. But yeah, dude, it's great having you on here. And as I said earlier, your links will be down below, so please go support Dissect That Film. You guys are doing a lot of really good shit over here. You're visiting full franchises and reviewing them, and it's so fun.
It's a good time.
Like, you just did all the Alien movies. Come on.
Yep.
Man.
It was a journey.
So now you got to go and do a whole Giallo series. You got to find all the Giallos. No, that'd be impossible.
Oh, my God. We'd be doing that for
you might as well have a
years.
separate podcast just for Giallo films.
My co-host would be like, I'm over this. Can we move on?
Exactly.
What do you mean?
And as always, Screenbox, thank you guys for being so awesome to us and actually supporting other podcasts that I send your way. Brett, have I given you
we keep talking about doing it, and it will someday.
Yeah, okay. I'll make sure that happens. But they're a great service over there. They're still a baby, they're still finding their way, and they are the cheapest horror streaming service out there, or even the cheapest streaming service there is, unless you want to count Tubi, but that's free. I'm talking about paid subscriptions.
Yes.
So make sure you check them out. The Blast. And I want to get you on again, Brett, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, we'll be in contact.
Let me know.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you guys so much for being here, and support the show, support Brett's show, support Screenbox, and we'll catch everybody on the next one.